Good morning. We begin our time together in song with Gather the Spirit by Unitarian Universalist singer-songwriter Jim Scott. Please make sure your microphone is muted so that you can sing as energetically as you like as we welcome in this beautiful new day. Welcome. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is my great, incredible joy and great privilege to serve our faith as a minister of this congregation. I want to offer a special welcome this morning to the members and friends of the UU Congregation of the Chesapeake in Southern Maryland. So glad you all could come and worship with us this morning. Glad you're here. It's good that we can all be together on this beautiful day. If you have a chalice that you would like to light with us there at home, in a few minutes we'll be lighting our chalice, so have that ready as I offer these words of welcome. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished space to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and explore questions of ultimacy together. If you are here for the first time or the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. If you believe in many gods, a god or goddess, no gods, or you're just not sure, you are welcome here. If you are gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, transgender, cisgender, still trying to figure it out, you are welcome here. If you are covered in tattoos or you are a blank canvas, you are welcome here. If you shout amen after every song or sentence, or if you prefer to sit quietly with us, you are welcome here. If you come here sober or addicted or wherever you are in your healing journey, you are welcome here. If you are grieving or if you are celebrating, you are welcome here. Your whole self, All that you were, all that you are, all that you long to be is welcome here. And you are right where you should be, in a room full of compassionate and thoughtful Unitarian Universalists, ready to meet you where you are. You are home. If you are a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope you will indeed find your home, your spiritual home, here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times to get the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition, and come and be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. So glad we are here together. And now I invite us to take a big, deep breath. And take another deep breath and just bring all of yourself to this precious time we've set aside in the week to be together. Bring every molecule of your being. Be present, be awake to now. And as sound vibrates through us and around us, may we be reminded how deeply, profoundly, and inextricably we are connected with one another, with all humans on this planet, with all beings and all life on this globe, and with all the stars in the cosmos. We are one. Our opening words this morning are a prophecy from the elders of the Hopi Nation, Oroby, Arizona, June 8, 2000. To my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we have been waiting for. And now if your chalices are ready and you have a light to light your chalice with, join me. Flame flickers, dances, rises and falls, not unlike our days, our lives, full of light, shadows, movement, triumph, and failure. The healing cup holds the flame, contains the dance, holds us in community as we float down life's stream, heads up, feet forward, hands clasped as we flow together toward our vision. And now it's time for our Wonder Box, because Unitarian Universalists are curious people. We wonder, what's in the Wonder Box? Oh, this is quite lovely and quite fragile, I think. I'll bring it a little closer so you can see this Magical glass ball. Looks like maybe there's a tree in there. I think it's filled with love. I know it is because this was a gift to me from a very dear friend on the occasion of my installation as the settled minister for this congregation. So it's very precious to me, and it reminds me of that love of that colleague and friend. So we'll put it there. And I have a story by Amy Petrie Shaw called The Shattering of the Vessels. And this story made me think about this beautiful glass ball. This is a free retelling of the Shevarat HaKelim from the Kabbalah. At the beginning of time, before anything else at all existed, love was all there was, and it filled up everything in the whole universe. But love got bored and lonely. There was no one to be in love with. So one day love decided to make a world. And first it took a deep breath. Let's all do that together. Take a big deep breath. And love got all squished up, taking that deepest breath ever, and was so squished that it squeezed out darkness. The darkness was all around, thick and shiny and black. It was beautiful, but now love couldn't see anything. Love waved its arms and legs around, but the darkness was everywhere. I have to do something about this, said love. It thought for a minute and tried to think of the most wonderful, beautiful, warm thoughts ever. Love thought harder and harder, and all of a sudden love called out, I want light. And pop! All of the warm and wonderful and beautiful thoughts exploded outward in 10 different directions and shaped themselves into 10 big glowing glass balls. Each ball was filled with a spinning lump of pure light and warmth. Some of the spare good thoughts that couldn't quite fit in the glass became dust and water vapor and seeds and molecules that could form animals. And love said, this is amazing. I better make something for the light to shine on. So it waved its arms and kicked its legs, and all of the dust and water vapor and molecules that had been scattered around when the glass balls formed began to form into another huge ball. This one of dirt and water and plants and animals, and love called this Earth. The 10 balls of light started toward the Earth, and if they had made it here in one piece, the entire planet would have been exactly the way love wanted it. But the glass balls were too fragile to contain such strong, powerful, wonderful, good thoughts. They broke open and shattered, and all the good thoughts shattered and flew out like sparks and were scattered like sand, like seeds, like stars. Those sparks fell everywhere on the earth in tiny bits instead of big clumps like love intended. Oh no, said love. I'm too big. I'll never be able to find all of those tiny sparks. I have to make one more thing. So love waved its arms and kicked its feet one last time, and people appeared on the earth. They didn't know it, but they were created with one job: to find these sparks, these tiny pieces of wonderful goodness, and to bring them together again in big clumps. When enough clumps are there, I will recreate the big glass containers to hold them, and this time I will set them down a little more carefully, love said. So all of us, from the time we are born, have a job. And that job is to help find love and more good and warm and wonderful things. If we do that, we are fixing the world. And we respond with singing African American hymn, There Is More Love Somewhere.
My name is Joe Bentley, and I serve our congregation as the lay minister for Connecting Within. This morning, I will share 5 short essays from the author Margaret Wheatley's book, Perseverance, published in 2010. After each reading, Reverend Jan will offer a short reflection. There will be a music video break after the third reflection. Part 1, Here is a River. To my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. We've been here before. We have never been here before in terms of the global nature of our predicament. For the first time in human history, at least that we know of, we have endangered our home planet. And for the first time, we know what's happening to just about all 7 billion of us humans, the challenges and terrors we endure, and the occasional reaffirming triumphs. Never before have humans been so aware of one another's struggles, pain, and perseverance. Never before have we known so many of the consequences of what we do, our thoughtless, violent, heroic, and loving actions. Yet we have been here before. In our long, mysterious history, humans have had to struggle with enormous upheavals, dislocations, famines, and fears. We've had to counteract aggression, protect our loved ones, and face the end of life as we've known it, over and over again. The scale is different now, but the human experience is the same. And so are our human spirits, capable of generosity or abuse, creativity or destruction, survival or extinction. As we face the challenges and struggles of this time, it might help to recall the centuries of solid shoulders we stand on. And if you reflect on your own life experiences, what else have you endured? You're still here. How did you stay here? How have you come through rough times before? What from your own personal history gives you now the capacity to get through this time?
The most difficult times in my life were my teen and young adult years. I engaged in self-destructive behaviors that could easily have created a very short and unhappy ending to my life. Yet I did survive because I was not alone. When I was at both my lowest and one of my highest points combined, 23 years old and single with a baby on the way, I knew I needed to radically change my life and get a new group of friends. That was when I returned to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Fairfax in Oakton, Virginia, where my family was active when I was young and where I had spent many hours in the woods and on the trails as a teenager communing with the earth. The people welcomed me with great warmth, provided moral support through my pregnancy, and celebrated with me when Davin was born. Those first few months were really hard. Anyone here who has raised a child knows what those first few months are like. Working full time, very little sleep, a little help from my mom, mostly on my own. It was the new friends I had made, the connections, that made the difference. People helped in many ways, giving me respite, spending time with me, and including me in fun activities, so life wasn't all drudgery. Fortunately, not long after Davin was born, Russ came into our lives, and together our family has been supported by our company of friends and family. And when at 40 years old I got the crazy idea to answer the call to ministry, I know I couldn't have completed the educational and formational process without a strong circle of friends, family, and colleagues who encouraged me through the rigors of that journey. I know that it is the relationships in my life, in our lives, that will make it possible for us to get through whatever challenges this particular time in history has in store for us all. I invite you to take a moment to consider a difficult time in your life. What helped you to endure, to come out on the other side a little more whole, a little wiser? Take a moment.
Part 2. Let go of the shore. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our heads above water. Fearlessness. Human history is filled with stories of countless people who have been fearless. If we look at our own families, perhaps going back several generations, we'll find among our own ancestors those who have also been fearless. They may have been immigrants who risked to find a better future, veterans who courageously fought in wars, families who endured economic hardships, persecution, slavery, oppression, dislocation. We all carry within us this lineage of fearlessness. There's a difference between courage and fearlessness. Courage emerges in the moment, without time for thought. Our heart opens and we immediately move into action. Someone jumps into an icy lake to save a child, or speaks up at a meeting, or puts himself in danger to help another human being. These sudden and heroic actions, even if they put us at risk, arises from clear, spontaneous love. Fearlessness, too, has love at its core, but it requires a great deal more of us than instant action. If we react too quickly when we feel afraid, we either flee, freeze, or act aggressively. True fearlessness requires that we take time and exercise discernment. Then we can move with love into right action. Fearlessness demands that we take time to look at whatever feels threatening to us in all of its complexity. We step into that fear, into the moment, and watch how by acknowledging and moving closer, fear dissipates and fearlessness arises. In the Tibetan tradition, fearlessness is known as an act of ultimate generosity, one of the great gifts we offer others.
Like most of you, I expect, I know my fears. I see them, feel them, and somehow, most of the time, I am able to look that fear in the face, name it, and move through it. Not always letting it go completely, but at least not letting it control me. I allow my heart, my courage, my values to draw me forward. So, true confession, one of the most challenging fears I experience, and I know from talking with others that I am not alone, is to step into what I anticipate will be a difficult conversation. I recall years ago when I served on the board of trustees for that same congregation in Virginia, we received a very challenging letter from a member of the congregation threatening legal action. The person who sent that letter was a very dear friend of mine, and this letter seemed so out of character. The board was ready to start looking for a lawyer, and there were a lot of harsh judgments articulated about my friend. My heart was breaking. He was one of the kindest, most generous, thoughtful, brilliant people I knew. He was one of our son's mentors. Our son had 3 mentors because we wanted to cover all the bases. He was a great guy. I asked the board to refrain from action until I could have a conversation with our friend, and they agreed. And now I had to do it. I was scared. I allowed 100 random imaginings to take over my brain and paralyze me, but I rallied. I knew that love needed to prevail in this situation. I set up an appointment with my friend, went to his house. I asked curious questions. We had a great conversation, and we worked it out. All was well, and our friendship was made stronger for the effort. I pull and draw from that experience to this day whenever I need to make a call that I anticipate may be difficult or prepare for a conversation that could be challenging. I remember that most people don't intend to cause harm, and they want to be in relationship. I have an ancestor who crossed the Atlantic from Ireland in the 1850s with an uncle and a brother when she was 5 years old. Somehow, she survived and thrived through hardships, heartaches, and challenges I think would have destroyed me. Yet, her perseverance is in my blood. These stories, hers and mine, feed my fearlessness and enable me to face the challenges of this particular time in human history. They remind me that I am not alone, and we are all in this together. Take a moment to consider a time when you moved through fear to fearlessness.
Part 3. Take nothing personally. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. Emotions. Many of us have spent years learning to notice our emotional responses, and we've raised our children to be aware of when they feel sad or angry or frustrated. Western culture focuses our attention endlessly on noticing and working with our internal state. This is helpful up to a point. It's important not to deny any of our feelings, both the good and the bad ones. But there's a crucial next step. We have to realize that we authored these emotional responses. We made them up, so we can change them. Emotions don't exist independent of us. It's not as if anger or grief float around looking for victims to inhabit. Everything we feel and experience comes from inside us. How we respond to any situation or person depends on what's happened to us in the past, and most importantly, what interpretations we've given to those experiences. We walk around wrapped in our stories, and it only takes a small poke from the outside world to unleash a flood of them in all their velocity. Over time, we become packages of predictable responses. We forget there's any other way to respond. The good news is that at any moment we can refuse to be triggered in the old familiar ways. This takes practice and a lot of discipline, but the next time you find yourself gripped by any strong emotion, see if you can just observe the feeling. Don't deny it or judge it. Don't start telling yourself why you're angry or sad. Just observe that you are. If you can avoid, even for a moment, getting dragged under by your usual storyline, that's real progress. You've succeeded in bringing in just a tiny bit of air, a momentary breath, and in that small opening lies the possibility of freedom. We illuminate the road to freedom each time we make a conscious choice to stay out of our stories. The road gets easier to see in the light of each pause.
So, how many times have you said, "You made me feel this way"? I know that's something I said for about 2/3 of my life until I learned that no one could actually make me feel an emotion. I was the one choosing my emotions. Though it never felt like a choice, it just seemed obvious. Someone cut me off in traffic, they made me mad. A teacher didn't give me a grade I thought I deserved, they made me feel unworthy. When the weather is cold and rainy, I'm depressed. Our dog died on December 30th, our beautiful, beloved wee Bonnie Lass of Waterton. Many of you in the congregation had come to know her and love her too. I was grief. For a couple of months, I was grief. That's who I was. And then my spiritual teacher, Meg Wheatley, guided me away from that narrative. She said, "There is grief." I said, "Yes, I know. I am grieving." "No," she said. "Listen, there is grief. You are not grief. You are Jan. There is grief, and you are feeling that grief." So I started saying this, practicing this to myself and out loud many times a day. Whenever it would overwhelm me, I would say, "There is grief. There is grief. There is grief." Every time I said it, the pain lessened, the heartache diminished. It didn't take long before thinking about Bonnie made me feel joyful rather than despondent, or should I say, there was joy. And eventually there was space in my heart for our new corgi, Princess Layla of the Federation. This has been a powerful lesson for me. With practice, I now externalize my emotions and feelings quite quickly. The stories about them don't have time to build up into monuments and myths that endure through time. I can give up the fight and breathe. So take a moment to consider, was there a time when you made a conscious choice to give up the fight and respond differently to something that triggers you?
Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now.
I'm just gonna breathe.
Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes.
Till I touch the sorrow 'neath the rage. I'm just gonna breathe.
Purge the past. Forgive the future, for each comes too soon. Surrender only to this life, this one, this moment here and now. Surrender only to this day, this hour, this breath. Not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it too beckons with beauty, startles with delight. If only we can keep waking up to this gift. This is the gift we have been given. These body clothes. This heartbreak, it's ours. This pulse, it's ours. This breath. This light. These friends. This hope. All we can do is remember ourselves here.
I'm just gonna breathe.
All a part of it all. Still growing together.
I'm just gonna breathe. Until I'm glad to breathe here for a while. We'll give up the thought for some other love. There's hope in the way that you are living. We'll give up the thought for some other love. It's changing, no longer resisting. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. It's gonna breathe, breathe, breathe. Come on and breathe, breathe, breathe. Give up the fight, breathe, breathe. For some other life, breathe, breathe. Give up the fight, breathe, breathe. For some other life, breathe, breathe. I'm just gonna breathe.
Part 4. Banish the word struggle. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. Giving up. Sometimes we just need to stop what we're doing and acknowledge that things are not going to work out as we'd like. Sometimes we need to realize that we've given all we can and we're all used up. Sometimes we need to acknowledge that we're exhausted and have absolutely no energy left. How we approach these moments is fundamental to whether we can continue on. Do we feel guilt, upset at ourselves, depressed? Or can we see this moment as rich with information about what's possible and what's not? Giving up is a moment either of acceptance or resignation, two very different states. Resignation has a beaten up victim quality to it. We worked hard and we lost. We've been defeated. Now it's time to retreat, to move on, to put this experience behind us quickly as possible. Acceptance is radically different. We're in touch with reality. We've learned that we're not the savior of the situation, and we might feel humbled but not beaten. We have a richer picture of what's going on, and a little rest. After a little rest, we'll re-enter the fray. Acceptance is to be relished. It allows us to sink our feet more deeply in the mud, and from there to find real sustenance.
This idea of giving up, banishing the word struggle, reminds me of the Serenity Prayer. To accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't change much about what is happening in our larger world, our country, or even our state. My circle of influence is definitely not wide enough to move people in power to take climate change seriously, put an end to oppression and white supremacist systems and culture, create peace in the Middle East, or reunite all those immigrant children locked in cells and cages with their families. And it seems that none of my wands have any magic left in them. I can accept that this is not my work, but there are people for whom it is their work, and I can pay attention to the work that is being done. I can vote, I can write letters, make calls, pray, bear witness, and show up. And I can love. I can love people. I can love people unconditionally. And maybe that sounds crazy, but why should it? I love my son and my husband unconditionally, my siblings, my relatives, my friends, each and every one of you, even those among all of them who don't vote the way I do, who make choices sometimes that cause harm to others, or those who stand on the opposite side of social issues that are so important to me. I can love them unconditionally because I experience this love myself. I'm not always at my best, not always easy to love, I'm sure. I'll ask Russ about that later. But I know I'm loved anyway. Maybe emotions don't just float around waiting to land in us. But I do like the idea from our story that love is at the core of all that is. That love is floating around us, waiting for humans to find it and to put all the pieces back together into big clumps and to love one another for all our uniqueness and differences, not in spite of them. My faith, this Unitarian Universalist faith, promotes the idea that every being came into this world with original blessing. Every child is born with inherent worth and dignity, basic goodness. So I accept each person for who they are, all of who they are. And I try to use whatever influence I may have to encourage that basic goodness to shine through. I keep in mind the wise words of Brian Stevenson, who said, "Each of us is more than the worst thing we've done." Stevenson also emphasizes the importance of proximity, to get close to people so we can see that basic goodness and accept them for all of who they are, their struggles, their pain, their loves, and their joy. Engaging in this practice gives me space to let go of my struggles and judgments, which I don't always do perfectly, but I work at it. And when I do, I can embrace joy and carry it with me into the fray. So I invite you to take a moment to consider, when have you experienced a level of acceptance, not resignation, but acceptance that allowed you to re-enter the fray?
Part 5. For we are the ones. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. For we are the ones we have been waiting for. Joy. People who experience true horror in their lives, or those who befriend them during war or natural disaster, frequently recount that joy was part of their experience. For those who haven't been in these situations, the ability to feel joy in the midst of tragedy seems unimaginable. Perhaps they're just putting on a good face, glossing over their terrorizing experience, or in denial or repression. We feel so badly for what they've suffered that we don't let our sympathy be disturbed by the possibility that there also was human goodness in what they endured. But joy is available in the worst, most dehumanizing situations. If we allow this fact, we can learn a great deal about our human spirits, about who we are. Joy, like peace, resides only inside us. It is never manufactured by external circumstances. This is very good news, as external events, other people, and life in general become more harsh and difficult. But discovering what lives deep inside us as our natural condition requires fearless curiosity. If we look deep into ourselves, what do we think we'll find? Dark emotions, scary desires, endless negativity, unstoppable fear? Or do we expect we'll discover joy? To investigate our interior, we have to trust that we're more than a collection of very bad things. We have to have faith that at our core, we're essentially fine, whole, and healthy. And we have to believe this about everyone, not just about ourselves. The potential for joy is always present in us, but like everything else in life, that potential only becomes evident in relationship. We can't analyze whether joy exists or hope to discover it from a remote, isolated position. We have to be together. We have to be in service to one another to discover our essential goodness. This is why people can discover joy even in the most horrific situations. They were together.
I'm just going to lift up a couple of phrases from Meg's words. We have to have faith that at our core, we're essentially fine, whole, healthy. And we have to believe this about everyone, not just ourselves. The potential for joy is always present in us. Have you ever been puttering about the house or engaged in a project of some sort and suddenly realized you're smiling? That you're feeling a quiet joy deep within? I hope so. I hope you notice it when it happens. I have experienced this, and I experience it more and more often as I practice. The more I notice it, the more often this joy shows up. No reason. In fact, there are many reasons not to feel joyful. I can read the newspaper in the morning, not a lot of good news there, and yet a few minutes later, I'm walking about the house or yard feeling a sense of joy inside. Doesn't make any sense. Meg Wheatley encourages her students to get in touch with the deep sadness that develops when we see the world as it is. Here is one of the assignments she gave us recently. Take a photo from the news that is particularly painful or disturbing to you. Instead of turning away, stay with it and go more deeply into it. Connect with the faces in the photo or the experience in the photo. Be with this suffering with gentleness, wanting to connect, wanting to touch it. Notice what you experience as you do this. You may find yourself in the mind of sadness, a place of deep connection with a sense of what is. Somehow this practice in touching the mind of sadness also connects us with a deep source of joy. In previous services, I've mentioned the Book of Joy, a conversation between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. These two people have truly suffered and experienced tremendous hardships in their lives. They know the mind of sadness intimately, and they see the world as it is. Yet, they are fundamentally joyful. When we see the world as it is, we also see all the beauty in the eyes of a beloved, the beauty in a bird's song, a child's laughter, the smiling eyes of a stranger you pass in the store. When I see the pain and suffering more clearly, I also see all the generosity, kindness, and fearlessness in the world when people come together, work together, serve together. In these moments, I see the basic goodness in all life, and I am grateful. There is gratitude. Where have you discovered joy in being together, working together, or serving together in the face of difficulties? Take a moment. So, beloveds, this week, this country celebrates Thanksgiving, and it won't be the same for many of us or most of us. For some of us, that might be a relief, but I think for many and most, there's great sadness in not being able to gather with family and friends in the ways we've become accustomed for these holidays. So just know that that's there, and we name it, and we move forward. And now I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer with these words from Max Kutz in his prayer, "Let us pray to the God." Let us pray to the God who holds us in the hollow of his hands, to the God who holds us in the curve of her arms, to the God whose flesh is the flesh of hills and hummingbirds and angleworms, whose skin is the color of an old black woman and a young white man, and the color of the leopard and the grizzly bear and the green grass snake, whose hair is like the aurora borealis, rainbows, nebulae, waterfalls, and a spider's web, whose eyes sometimes shine like the evening star, and then like fireflies, and then again like an open wound, whose touch is both the touch of life and the touch of death, and whose name is everyone's but mostly mine and yours. And what shall we pray? Let us say, thank you. Let us sing together, Spirit of Life. Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world. To this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization selected by our Give Away the Plate committee. Our fourth quarter plate recipient is New Life Technology Group. Located in Alpharetta, Georgia, the mission of the New Life Technology Group is to help our planet by reducing e-waste and support our community through their Computers for Kids program. They do this by recycling, refurbishing, and redistributing electronic waste. They work with businesses, schools, faith communities, nonprofits, and neighborhoods to help keep electronics out of landfills and donate them back to the community. Through the power of our donations, they are able to transform our community and the world around us towards a cleaner, greener, and more hopeful future. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation, so I ask that you please give generously to support the work of this important ministry in the wider community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Trees by Oscar Rosbach, you will see on the screen ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check to UUCG to the address shown. If you are worshiping with us for the first time, your presence here today with us is a great gift to this community. You may, if you like, choose to let the plate pass. The offering will now be most gratefully received. May the generous gifts received this week move us towards realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. I am so grateful to Joe Bentley for giving voice to those readings from Meg Wheatley. And as always, very grateful for Christiana to managing our Zoom room, and for Russ Taddeo for running video and sound. And again, so grateful that the good people from the UU Congregation of the Chesapeake are here with us today. Thank you so much for being here. And now is the time for our call to connection. You are encouraged to seek ways to connect between Sundays, and especially during these holidays when we may not be able to connect with the people we really usually gather with. If you are a newcomer, please text welcoming to 678-931-8228, number on the screen. You'll receive just a few texts and emails for a few weeks to guide you in getting connected. You can also sign up for our weekly e-news by sending an email to info@uucg.org and request to be on our mailing list. You can go to our website to look at the Register for Events button and see what kinds of things are happening there, and sign up for stuff to get connected. If you're new to our congregation, we encourage you to join us on the third Sunday in December 20th, for our UU 101 visitor orientation for people who are new to our congregation and may be new to Unitarian Universalism or not, but we invite you to join us for that. And then if you've done that already and you want to get more connected and learn more about the path to membership, join me for the 102 program. And you can register on the website for these programs. Really encourage you to do that. Just click on the register for events and it'll take you to our registration page. Next Sunday, so the staff are going to be off for a couple of Sundays. I am taking study leave starting tomorrow through December 8th, returning to work, whatever that means, some office on December 9th. So next Sunday, we are going to go on a virtual field trip to the Tennessee Valley UU Church in Knoxville and hear the good words from Reverend Chris Bice on a duty to delight, regret, anxiety, and thanksgiving. So please join them at 11 o'clock next Sunday. And the Sunday after that, we'll go visit the good folks at Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in South Carolina. And the Reverend Lisa Bovey Kemper will be offering that service. These are good, dear colleagues and friends, so I hope that you enjoy them. And just a note that on next Sunday, there will be no programs at UUCG, no 10 o'clock program, no programs after the service. We're just all going to take a break next week. On the 6th, however, we will return to our 10 o'clock programs and the religious exploration for early elementary folks. And letting you know, today we're having a town hall meeting after the service. We're going to review the proposed 2021 budget, discuss a new position for facilities caretaker, and have a conversation about reopening, and a reminder that it's never too late to pledge. We are doing really well, but we need to get a little further. We're at $129,040 in pledges, and a few more people we're hoping to hear from. So please complete your pledge online or mail in your form. Food collection is every first Sunday. So on December 6th from 2 to 4, we'll be collecting food for the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry. Please bring it. We've been so generous and they are really appreciative of what we're offering. We are collecting, best way is to collect money for Corley gift cards, but if you want to buy gift cards and send them to the church, that's fine too. But we're collecting $10 and $25 gift cards for Corley Elementary School in lieu of they're having no PTA. And also we've made a choice to take $100 from our social justice budget and match the first $100 of contributions for Corley gift cards. So please give generously. Thank you. We still need platelets for our good friend and member Terry Welsher. So if you're eligible to give platelets, please set up an appointment and do so. I love the pictures people are sending me. Thank you very much. And on Thanksgiving Day, you can enjoy a virtual Thanksgiving gathering with our good friends in the congregation at a Thanksgiving Sunbowl from 8 to 11. It's a series of 3 toasts honoring our deities and ancestors and ourselves. So the link will be on the website, please. And bring poetry and prose to share for that event. The UUCG Holiday Marketplace opens on Black Friday at 9 a.m. Now, if you're like me and you boycott Black Friday, don't boycott this because it helps our congregation. It's a different kind of shopping. So you can go in and preview the marketplace. The link should be on our website. It's a really long link, so I doubt you're going to grab it in the moment that this slide is up, but it will be in our e-news and as well. It closes 5 p.m. on December 4th, so you have a week to bid on items, and there are so many fabulous things there. I'm just blown away by everything people are offering. Okay, elementary religious exploration will happen today at 12:30. No program next Sunday, resumes on the 6th. If you haven't registered for religious exploration for early elementary, please do so. That's the only way to get access. Our adult program, there's no program next Sunday, resumes December 6th. Covenant groups for spring 2021 that start at the end of January, early February are open and ready. So grab your slot for your favorite covenant group time. We want to get those registrations in quickly so we can fill them up and make sure we have our leaders and all of that ready to go. Yarns from the Heart will not meet this take that back. Yarns from the Heart will meet this Wednesday. Yes, they are happening this Wednesday. So join them if you're a knitter or crocheter. Join them. Is this the third? Is this the third Wednesday? Yes, it is. Okay. I'm getting a little lost. Sorry, everybody. My session on second and fourth Wednesdays from 10 to 11 will take a break until December 9th when I return. Hope to see you then. And virtual happy hour is not happening on Thursday. That's the one. So no virtual happy hour this Thursday, but it will resume next week. So please join them for that time. Check your e-news for more things that are going on. We are working on some fabulous choir pieces, virtual choir, for our Christmas Eve service. So if you like to sing, this is a one-time commitment. Come and join us for the next month and a half to create these music videos. Join us on Tuesday night to learn more about what we're doing, or send me a message, or send a message to our choir director, Michael Parker, and let them know, hey, yeah, I could do a little singing for it. Yeah. Belief Exploration will be on the second Sunday every month. We are not having tarot this Sunday. Today there is no tarot session with Sherry. It will resume, I assume, next Sunday. And the book group will meet December 9th, and the book for this month is Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. Let's rise and embody your spirit as we say the words we say to extinguish our chalice, followed by our closing song, Love Will Guide Us by Sally Rogers. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. If you must go, please go forth with curiosity, courage, and compassion. If you're traveling or visiting with family, be well, be safe, take good care. I love you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.